Avery, watch this.
Haley, who was that?
Hey guys, today we talk about weed stocks. What's going on? So, a lot has changed from the beginning of this week to now when it comes to weed stocks. It's been a bit of a roller coaster, a slight roller coaster, but we'll start in the beginning with Canadian stocks. And this all kind of started when earnings reports were expected for Aurora Cannabis, a rather large company in Canada. Before the results even came in, before the report actually was announced, stocks for the company were way down, about 6%. And that is because the report was expected to be pretty bad, pretty weak, which even though the report got, without any explanation, it got delayed until next week. It's probably confirmed about its bad earnings because 8% of Aurora's employees were laid off this week. With that in mind, and with this report coming now, I think it's expected on Monday, weed stocks are not looking so good in Canada because Aurora is just one part of the entire thing. For instance, another company, Tilray, has just shut down a pretty big facility in British Columbia because they're trying to cut back and find ways to save money. That's happening across the board in Canada. There are a lot of reasons for it. One of the reasons is one of the main reasons I believe is just the slow progress where people in the beginning of this year when Biden was inaugurated were expecting a huge bump in sales and this quick and seamless transition into the US market, especially with CBD. None of that has been happening. So we're at a point now where people are looking at the Canadian sales and thinking this isn't where we expected it to be, so things are going way down. So we had started the week with that in mind, or at least halfway through the week with all of this in mind. Then I go on to the subreddit Weed Stocks, which is actually a pretty great subreddit, and the outlook is so much shinier, and I wondered why, and I've gotten in trouble in the past with them because I'd only talked about Canadian stocks, and for them, things are looking up. One of the main reasons is because the Safe Banking Act, which is an act that would protect banks who want to work with marijuana companies, that just passed the House as part of the defense bill and it is going to the Senate. That sounds great and all. It's a bipartisan thing. It seems like no-brainer. Yes, definitely. People are going to be into this. However, this is the 5th time. I don't know if you can hear those sirens, Jakes. Okay, they're gone. This is the 5th time that it has passed the House and has gone to the Senate. So it's not. So this definitely doesn't mean that it's going to be a sure thing. If anything, it's looking a bit skeptical that it's going to pass, and for the main reason that the Senate had already passed a defense bill, brought it to the House added this on, and now it has to go back to the Senate, and then they have to vote on what, they have to negotiate basically on both different bills and take things out and do all that stuff. The Safe Banking Act will probably be one of the first things to go. So it's not a sure thing that it'll pass. However, it's gotten people excited about the US marketplace and where things are going. There's been a bit of a bump in some ETFs in the US because of this. Then another thing, which I actually haven't seen what this has done to the stocks. Let me just check my little YOLO ETF. Okay, it didn't really do anything, but word is out today that the House is going to vote on the MORE Act, which is the Nadler House weed legalization bill. They're going to vote next week on this bill, which will probably pass the House. Again, it probably won't pass the Senate, but this is another thing that should rally the troops a little bit, and it shows that perhaps putting the Safe Banking Act into the defense bill doesn't necessarily mean it's going to pass, but it does mean that it is getting things rolling. It's getting the encouragement there, and people are kind of looking towards legalization as the next thing, and you know, there's a bit of momentum in the air at this point. So while stocks in Canada are pretty down, it seems that in America things are just starting to kind of pump up, or at least that's the hopeful outlook on this whole thing, that it's not just kind of a blip and it's going to continue on from here on out. But we'll see. That being said, all stocks are still way down from like this huge crazy peak in February. I think they're down about 40% overall. So even when you look at the entire year outlook and you see that there is maybe a little bit of an uptick now, it's still down because you see this crazy, I mean, it was an unrealistic peak. It was a combo of, you know, a Democratic president coming back into office and also the whole Wall Street Bets team getting behind weed stocks and this amalgamation of weird things that happened at once. So that was definitely an outlier, but it's now kind of making this bigger, or this more realistic uptick look slightly less big. That being said, hopefully this momentum continues into next week and the week after and the week after and the week after. And then we hear Biden say something that he likes marijuana legalization now. He's all for it. And then there becomes this big push. And then by the end of October, we have weed legalization in all 50 states. Let's hope that happens. Yeah, and that's kind of it for today. That's it for this week. We'll be back and we'll touch more on this vote that happens next week on weed legalization. See you then.